Lapse of US Russia arms treaty will heighten missile threat, says UN. The UN Secretary-General has warned that the world has lost an invaluable break on nuclear war with the expiry of a Cold War-era arms control treaty on Friday. Has kept nuclear missiles off European soil for more than 3 decades, but the US and Russia have failed to agree on how to keep it alive. This will likely heighten, not reduce, the threat posed by ballistic missiles, Antony Guterres told reporters, adding that he was concerned about rising tensions between nuclear-armed states. There have already been signs of a rekindled arms race in the class of weapons that the treaty banned ground-launched missiles with ranges between 500 and 5,500 kilometers. Nearly 2,700 of the cruise and ballistic nuclear missiles were destroyed under the treaty, removing a potent source of European insecurity. A targeted country. These weapons are now beginning to return. August 2 marks the demise of the INF, which played a major role in enhancing stability in Europe, said Laura Kennedy, the former U.S. permanent representative to the Conference on Disarmament in Geneva. Its termination, the death of the INF, comes amid aggressive nuclear weapon modernization programs being carried out by the US and Russia. Among the new weapons, Russia has developed a land-based nuclear-capable cruise missile, which the US and its NATO allies say violates the INF range restrictions. Moscow they are dual-capable, they can carry nuclear weapons, they can reach European cities within minutes, they are mobile, hard to detect, and they also reduce the threshold of any potential use of nuclear weapons in armed conflict, the NATO Secretary-General, Jens Stoltenberg, said on Wednesday. Russia's refusal to scrap the weapon led Donald Trump to from the INF treaty, and the US is now developing at least 3 types of medium-range missiles, all of them designed for conventional warheads. The first of these, believed to be a land-based version of the Tomahawk cruise missile with a 1,000 km range, is due to be tested later this month. A second option, Pentagon officials have said the first weapon, the cruise missile, could be deployed within 18 months. The prospect of the INF's demise on Friday is viewed with little enthusiasm among UK officials, not least because the country falls in the range of the previously banned intermediate-range surface-to-surface missiles. It is a proper serious moment, a Whitehall source observed, although there are no plans for the new administration of Boris Johnson to publicly mark the moment. European officials say there has been limited discussion with their US counterparts on NATO policy after INF, in part because European policy was focused on saving the treaty. Now that has failed, UK officials argued there was unlikely to be an immediate return to a nuclear standoff between rival missile systems in Europe, as witnessed in the 1980s when US cruise and Pershing missiles were ranged against Soviet SS-20s. The new Russian missile is nuclear-capable, but not necessarily nuclear-armed. They are presently the US missiles are, for now, strictly conventional, and NATO has said it has no intention of deploying nuclear missiles in Europe. We will not mirror what Russia is doing, Stoltenberg said. Furthermore, the Democratic majority leadership in the House of Representatives is opposed to the new U.S. missiles, arguing there is no sign of a coherent strategy behind them, and has removed the $96 research and development budget for them from the House 2020 budget. The fate of the program, it is unclear where a U.S. cruise missile would be based. They would have to be any U.S. attempt to force the alliance to accept the missiles or to go around NATO and try to negotiate a bilateral agreement with an individual NATO member would be a significant source of division within NATO, and one Russia would be eager to try and exploit, said Kingston Reeve, the Director for Disarmament and Threat Reduction Policy at the Arms Control Association. Administration hawks led by John Bolton, the U.S. National Security Advisor, are also eyeing a possible Pacific deployment as a counter to Chinese medium-range missiles. The fact that but basing problems would also be a serious obstacle in the Pacific, as any host nation would become a primary target for a preemptive attack. Our East Asian allies aren't exactly rushing to host these missiles, Reef said. They could be based on, there is no plan for what comes after INF, said Pranay Vati, a former State Department arms control official now at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Not having a plan. After the collapse of the INF, the last remaining arms control treaty is the 2010 New START agreement limiting US and Russian strategic warheads, and Bolton has said it is unlikely to be extended.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.